What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Going the Distance podcast presented by ImmaculateSports.com. Twitter is at ImacSports.
Instagram is also at ImacSports.
TikTok, YouTube, Immaculate Sports. It is episode 284. And honestly, dude, like for the past week straight, I've just been watching World Baseball Classic. It's been amazing. We'll get into that in a minute. But the point of this episode is that over the last 2 days, we've had so many big moves in NFL free agency, legal tampering period. That's what this episode is all about.
Yeah, we're just going to be giving our initial reactions to 43 of the biggest moves that we saw these past couple of days, with all the moves that there was in between the Raiders and the Jets as well, too. Two of the most active teams in the NFL, and our two teams as well, too, of course. We did grades for this last year on teams in their first 48 hours of free agency. But as we learned, just the 48 hours feels like a lot's happening. But in the grand scheme of things, it takes this whole offseason to really get the full scope of your grade. So doing it now doesn't really make a ton of sense, especially since nobody can really be wrong in my eyes at this point right now, with how much there is to go. But that's the main, steak and potatoes of this episode. The opener, though, some World Baseball Classic stuff.
Yeah, and, I'm sure this is yours and everybody else's, too, best thing they saw of the past week. But it's not because of just all the superstars on the big teams. It's all the little stories, too, like Satoria on Czech Republic shoving this morning. I wasn't up at 2, but, I made sure to check out how he did, and he did amazing and got the standing O. Unfortunately, he comes out and he gets destroyed by his team, not him, gets destroyed by Japan, and they're going to be undefeated, of course, in that pool. But it's the stuff like that. It's the walk-off homers, Darell Hernaiz and Ozzie Albies in the same day. So I guess I'll just go through the 4 pools real quick and talk about it as a check-in of what we missed over the past week. Puerto Rico is at home. We know that it is not the best Puerto Rican roster we've seen, but they're doing just fine in their comebacks. They're 3-0 since they beat Cuba at 2-1. Cuba, Canada, I believe, is the last game. Canada's going to have to win to get in, or else it's going to go to Cuba. And Panama, unfortunately, choked. They looked pretty good in the first couple days, but they're done. Pool B has been one of the more interesting pools we've had. USA, Italy, both undefeated. They're playing in about an hour. Also, there's Mexico, still alive. Only lost is the USA, and they have looked very good when it's not been against the USA, too. Japan, we just mentioned, 4-0. Korea ends up winning the big game against Chinese Taipei. That ended up being the tiebreaker, even though Australia was really fun to watch, too. They will not be moving on at 2-2. And then Pool D, we know our 2 teams, Venezuela, the DR, they play each other. I think that's tomorrow. Tomorrow, winner will get the number 1 seed. They both look awesome. Just been fun. Can't wait to watch USA tonight. Let's finish the job. Get that number 1 seed.
Yeah. Obviously, a ton of great moments. Interested to see tomorrow how the DR versus Venezuela goes. Obviously, those 2 countries are, the 2 biggest powerhouses in that pool and really in, that area of the world when it comes to baseball. But with both of them qualifying, we'll see how, much they try to push the pedal there to win that game over, just trying to stay healthy and set yourself up well once you get into the games that really matter. Best moment for me so far got to be Darell Hernaiz's walk-off home run. That was pretty sick, especially coming in from a guy that doesn't really hit homers. You kind of had that perfect, Scott Hatteberg, type of a moment there, which is really cool to see. Rajai Davis down the line in Game 7 of the World Series type of moment. So good for Darell. Obviously, a ton of cool storylines to go with it. I could sit here for hours talking about it, but I won't. We're getting into the NFL offseason stuff. Initial reactions. We have a bunch of trades, bunch of free agency signings, of course. We are going to limit ourselves to 60 seconds per. That way we're not here forever. So we'll see how long this episode actually takes and how close we stick to that. But I'm going to go ahead and get us started with DJ Moore to Buffalo. We saw almost about a week ago now at this point. DJ Moore and a 5th rounder to Buffalo for a 2nd-round pick this year. 60 seconds starts now.
Chicago was a winner off of the initial initial reaction for me. I feel like they were already trying to phase DJ Moore out of the offense a little bit. And then they get a second round pick, too, to probably draft more O line. Buffalo gets a pretty good weapon. They get an X receiver, but looking at the market a week later makes me think they did get fleeced a little bit, paying for that whole contract. He should get a lot of action, though.
Yeah, I think Buffalo definitely deserves to get a guy like this, kind of similar to Shakir, just on steroids, really, when it comes to it. Um, Chicago gets a good pick back. As we go through most of these trades, you'll see some of the pick swaps are like, oh, wow, that guy went for a sixth and a seventh. DJ Moore gets him a second pick back. Luther Burden obviously going to get more involved in that offense. And just good job from both teams. I think they addressed the needs. Next up, Max Crosby going to Baltimore for 2 first-round picks, pick 14 this year, and then a first-round pick next year as well, too. Probably the biggest move that we've seen throughout free agency and all this stuff so far. What's going on here?
I got to say, good for Baltimore, man. They got a real leader for their new defense and for a fair price, too. You know, you got to give up that pick 14 because they're going after an all-pro type player. And the Raiders fans have got to be a little sad because this is the kind of guy you want to be there for the turnaround. I know all about that being a Jets fan, but pick 14, like I said, is going to be huge for the Raiders. So I'm looking at a win-win situation here.
Yeah, I see a win-win spot as well, too. Baltimore fans maybe not as happy now that they've lost so many people in free agency, but Max Crosby is a guy that will get to the passer, play a huge factor in the run game, and is really unstoppable in all facets on defense. For the Raiders, 2 first-round picks and making sure that this is just not just a one-year deal. This is going to be something that affects them next year as well, too. Is good, gives them a good opportunity to take a Mekhi Lemon or a Jordan Tyson at pick 14 as well. The next move that we have, Minkah Fitzpatrick going to the Jets. I believe it was just a late pick swap. 7-6, the 6-7 swap that we've seen a few times already. Minkah to the Jets, though. Go ahead.
I know he's 30. I know he's not the best safety in the league anymore, but this is one of the biggest upgrades we could have pulled off for the defense this offseason. We have been absolutely cursed at the safety position ever since Jamal Adams was traded. Everybody knows it, right? Jets had no interceptions last year. They were lacking the leadership and accountability for this position. It's just good to know we're not actively trying to lose every game this season. Turns out this guy, I had no idea, grew up in the Rutgers area, grew up a big Jets fan. And even if we do end up with the number 1 pick, at least we're trying here. I love Minkah.
Yeah, Mink is really good. One of the more underrated safeties that we've seen in this generation, in my eyes. He's already been traded, 4 times in his career, from Miami to Pittsburgh back to Miami, and now over to the Jets. Still think he's going to be fine. Maybe the best ball's behind him, but he's still a guy that's a Pro Bowl level safety. And for a defense that didn't really have a great sense in the secondary last year, this is going to help a ton. The next move that we have, Rashawn Gary to Dallas. Another late pick swap, I believe, here, and that goes with it.
You know, I'm not really sure if Rashawn Gary is going to end up being a good fit in Dallas, but what I do know is this is a massive need for him, massive hole. Maybe he moves inside next to Quinnen Williams, but Rashawn Gary does have over 40 career sacks from the edge. That's what they needed. Now they don't have to draft 2 of them like we talked about last month.
Yeah, Dallas gets Rashawn Gary. Feels like a move kind of from Jerry where it's I don't want to say panicky, but I didn't get Max Crosby. I'm still going to go out and get somebody so the fans don't completely hate me. Even though I think fans' opinions of Jerry is pretty much stuck in stone at this point in time. Still an effective pass rusher, though. Not like the number 1 type guy, so to speak, but I think Dallas has some good rotational guys to go around him. Obviously, they still have the 2 draft picks in the first round, and can improve for a defense that needs some improvement on the pass rusher side of the ball. Our first free agency sign-in, as we're keeping under a minute, actually, for all these pretty well. Alec Pierce, this one happened right on the buzzer just to make him the highest paid free agent wide receiver of all time instead of just an extension. He goes back to Indianapolis for 4 years, $116 million.
This is a massive contract, but I get it. I do get it. Pittman, we now know, is headed to Pittsburgh, and the Colts offense probably won't be dipping too bad unless the quarterback play is awful. So I'm personally not going to offer this contract, but I think we all want to see Alec Pierce in a larger role. And this is the kind of guy you can't go find him in the third round. So I understand why they chose to pay him over some other guys.
Yeah, Alec Pierce is a stud. I was kind of shocked to see how quick he was back into Indy's arms, considering that he was talking about how special it is to be a free agent and get to that point in your career and be able to test out the waters. Seems like he didn't really test him out too much. I'm curious what makes him so confident in this first year in Indianapolis as well, or first year now in Indianapolis after this contract extension, considering Daniel Jones is hurt for a while, but he's huge. And in the modern day NFL offense, he's the type of player that works. Kenneth Walker, K9, Super Bowl MVP, goes to Kansas City for 3 years, about $45 million.
Yeah, this is a huge one for KC. For whatever reason, Kenneth Walker isn't the kind of guy that Seattle wants to pay, but I think he's going to be perfect for the Chiefs. I always side with the guys who come through in the clutch, and that's exactly what K9 just did. So Kansas City has got to be ecstatic.
Yeah, this is an interesting move. It's weird to see, Seattle not cough up this money to get the Super Bowl MVP back, especially when their other running back is coming off of a torn ACL and Zach Charbonnet. I didn't really expect Kansas City to go through free agency to get a running back. Maybe it's just because the draft class for running backs is weak and they've made their rounds and the guys that they want to take a look at, and they weren't confident in taking a guy in the fifth or sixth round to be their back this year. K9 gives them stability, something that they haven't had the backfield since Kareem Hunt's first run with them back in the late 2010s. Next up is Jalen Watson, corner from the Chiefs, goes to the Los Angeles Rams for 3 years, $51 million.
I like this one on a couple of different levels. Watson feels like a low risk, high reward player. He's gotten a little better every single year in Kansas City. It's some more insurance at a big position of need. And now the Rams don't feel pressured to go reach on a DB for maybe even the next 3 drafts now, since they also got McDuffie.
Yeah, I'm realizing right now that I forgot to put McDuffie on this list. But they take the Chiefs' secondary corner options in the span of a couple of days here. McDuffie's a stud. Obviously, they pay the price for him. Jalen Watson, good deal, I think, here, 3 for 51. This guy has played in big moments in isolations. It's like throughout his career, won Super Bowls. And obviously, that's where the Rams want to be. They got some top wide receivers to lock up in that division, and having a big physical guy like Jalen Watson, I think, is really going to help them. So good on them. Next one, Michael Pittman goes to Pittsburgh. So Pittman in Pittsburgh on another pick swap, which is seems how things are going.
My initial reaction is that Rodgers is coming back after this. Obviously there's more time. Rodgers is the kind of guy that's going to take his sweet time deciding this. I think they do need to get rid of Metcalf, but if not, these guys probably could work together too. Pittsburgh's lacking size on the offense outside of Darnell Washington. I think he helps out in the red zone a lot, helps create mismatches. So you're not running the same play in the corner of the end zone 3 straight times like they tried last year.
We actually have some breaking news, and it is very big breaking news. The Baltimore Ravens have backed out of the trade agreement for Max Crosby.
Shut up.
That's what I'm seeing.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
That is like true breaking news. It's not like.
Wow.
We're not getting ball sack sports. I don't know. This is really weird.
Haven't seen one of these in a while.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what it would be from this. I don't know if he didn't pass the physical. I don't know whether to look at this as a good thing or a bad thing. Well, that's
what are you
kind of
thinking
shocking.
if you're Quiddy Pay right now?
His contract's about to be gone as well too. Um, but that's interesting. I'm curious to see how that changes these other signings as well too. Not just Kwity Paye. I mean, Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker, which we'll talk about in a few minutes,
Yeah.
are a bit different type of players than Max Crosby when it comes to rushing the passer. But I don't know. I really don't know what to make of this. I don't know if we're gonna see like, okay, he's traded the Rams in about an hour and a half or something like that. Um, but I don't know. There's literally nothing to make of this right now because it's just so early. There's no. This statement was just like the Ravens have backed out of the trade. That's all there is. There's no further comment at the time. But that's pretty big, man.
Okay. Let's circle back to this when we get to more Raider conversation. Obviously, you
Yeah,
got to be shocked right now.
yeah. This is weird. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's. I don't know if I was pro or con Max
Yeah.
Crosby trade, but I feel like it worked for both teams. Obviously, I don't think it's like a Antonio Brown Buffalo Bills situation where he just didn't want to go to them. He seemed pretty stoked out. You even saw the video a couple days ago that Max Crosby posted. He was pumped up. Had a really heartfelt goodbye to Raider Nation as well too. But yeah, I don't know. Um, we'll get more news on that. Obviously, if you're watching this, this isn't breaking news to you because you probably heard about it now on Twitter. Um, but yeah, we'll see if anything else comes out, and we'll keep you posted if things are going. But it seems like it's Baltimore's fault here. So maybe they. I don't know. I honestly don't know. We went way past the 1 minute for Michael Pittman, but I'll give my analysis on that now.
Yeah.
Just a good guy to have as a safety option for your quarterback. Pittsburgh's wide receiver class last year was really bad, or not class, just group was really bad. They didn't really have that main number one that you could throw to in a tough time. This is it with Michael Pittman. I know DK Metcalf was there and he had some great moments, but he was never really a guy that you saw to get 8-9 catches in a game. Pittman's a guy that can do that for you, be a great third down target, not just a deep threat. So I think it's a good move. They didn't give up much either. Next up, Malik Willis goes to Miami. 3 years, $67.5 million.
It probably won't be all Malik Willis's fault, but this might be the worst team in the NFL next season. The positive for Miami is that this is a pretty cheap deal. It's similar to what we saw from Justin Fields, where they could cut him if they wanted to with no repercussions at all. I just think he's going to need a lot more help around him if he doesn't want to look like Titans Malik Willis, because we all know what we saw from Green Bay was pretty good, but that's an elite system around him. So that's where my head's at. I'm a little worried for Miami.
Yeah, it is interesting. It is a big gamble. Not as big as a gamble as what we thought could happen. And, the 30, 40 million possible dollars that was going to be given to him. But Green Bay was such a good situation for him to be in. He had a good O-line, good running back, good weapons around him. Miami, you got Jalen Waddle and Devin Achane. But outside of that, your O-line's kind of skeptical. It's a new scheme. I know he has Halfley in there, who was a defensive guy, and maybe he brought some offensive guys in with him. But it's not going to be, LaFleur calling up the plays for you. And you're not going to have that same type of chemistry, I'd imagine. So we'll see how that goes. But I think it's a good opportunity for Miami to, I guess, buy high on a guy that could have a really high ceiling. Next up, Isaiah Likely to the Giants. 3 years. I couldn't find a number for this. Probably within, high 30s, low 40s.
Yeah, I love it. Likely should be starting. Jackson Dart is going to love this guy outside of the one bad drop to lose a game. I think it was last year or 2 years ago. Isaiah Likely's just been a really solid NFL player and kind of a freak athlete for his position too. I'm very intrigued.
Yeah. Harbaugh's bringing over just about everybody they can. He just actually looks like they're signing Pat Ricard as well too. That broke about 10, 15 minutes ago. Likely's a guy that a tight end that we kind of knew that the ceiling was a bit higher than what was going to be available in Baltimore just because of how their offense was and the other guys at the position. He has a good chance to be the tight end one in New York, assuming Theo Johnson's not going to be winning that job over him. And could be a guy that we look at next year and say, wow, like this is really going to work out with him and Jackson Dart. Joseph Asai to the Jets, 3 for 36.
Yeah.
New boy for you.
More depth for that D-line that got really thin when Robert Saleh left. Most of those guys either went with him or demanded a trade. So I like Osai for a couple different reasons. He's only 25. He gets a ton of pressures. Could be a nice chess piece. The great Jet defenses always have this archetype. You got to have it. Franklin Myers, Leonard Williams, a throwback Calvin Pace with the Rex Ryan years. So I'm all board, right? Everybody needs a couple edge rushers you can mix and match different spots.
Yeah, I don't know too much about Joseph Asai. I know he's had some good moments, but I'm going to let you have the heyday there and take that. So no analysis from me. Moving on, the highest paid edge rusher that we'll see in this class, Jalen Phillips, gets 4 years, $120 million from Carolina.
Big time get for Carolina. This guy's awesome when he's healthy, and they stole him from Philly at the last minute too. I thought for sure he was going back there. The NFC South is lacking defense pretty much all across the 4 teams. So I support Carolina being really aggressive right now because they were just in the playoffs.
Yeah, Jalen Phillips is a stud when he's on the field. Obviously, the biggest question is, will he be on the field? Because he tore his Achilles, tore his ACL, still missed some games last year as well, too. But when he went to Philly, he had 5 sacks as an Eagle. That kind of brought his value right back up to what it would have been prior to those injuries. Bit of a steal, like you said, for Carolina from Philly. I think we both did not think he'd be going to Carolina. Good get for them. That's a team that you would think have a better defense, but they really did not have that good of a defense last year. And it hurt them in some key times as well, too. Seattle late in the season, obviously the Rams game in the playoffs. They probably could have won that. If they have Jalen Phillips, they probably do win that.
Redlands legend, too.
There you go. Next up, smaller deal, Kingsley Enagbare, nailed that one, to the Jets, 1 for 10.
I got you on this one. Don't worry. It just feels like a Michael Clemens replacement. Like you can see Glenn, Darren Muji, they're just trying to find their guys. And after last season, the philosophy at the edge position needed to change. They needed to take a swing on this guy because in his few starts in Green Bay, he looked really big and just way bigger, more of a run stuffer than your average edge rusher, and we just need some edge setters.
Yeah, moving on to the next one. I'll definitely have an opinion here. Demario Davis goes back to the Jets, 2 for 22.
The Jets needed a captain, and when the entire identity of the team is defense and your defense sucks, you're not going to win shit at all. So the ageless wonder probably won't be leading the league in tackles anymore, but he's definitely an enforcer. It reminds me of CJ Mosley from the last regime. You just need someone who's going to be out there all the time telling people where to go. And that's what it is. And he probably won't continue to be an ageless wonder, but at least last season he was.
Yeah, this is a quarterback in the defense. Demario Davis has been one of my favorite underrated not pass rushers, linebackers in the NFL in the past decade or so. Was really good for the Jets, really good for the Saints. Like you said, his best days are probably behind him, and if he has a career year now, I'd just be shocked considering the age. But he's a guy that's probably going to get close to 100 tackles for you. He's going to teach a whole bunch of young linebackers and defensive players how to play because he's played in big moments. He's been on good teams, and he's a guy that plays the right way. So Demario Davis, I mean, if we were giving grades, this is one I love a ton. Demario Davis is a guy I love. Kobe Bryant, the football player, of course, goes to the Bears, 3 for 40, leaving the Seattle Seahawks.
This Kobe Bryant is awesome too. In his first full season at least as a full-time starter, he has 4 picks for Seattle. He can play every position in the secondary. The Bears should be very happy with this one.
Yeah, I like it for Chicago. It's a good deal for him as well, too. I didn't think that would be the contract going for Kobe Bryant. I mean, if you're getting a guy from a Seattle defense from this past year, like those guys are getting paid right now. We're seeing a couple other guys on this list as well, too. I think it's a good deal for Chicago. They lose in Sean Wright, Kobe Bryant coming in there's kind of the same type of breed as a corner. So good job for them. Next up, Tyler Linderbaum to the Raiders, 3 for 81, reset in the market.
I told you I had a feeling they were going to get the green light to give this guy some big money, and they got it done. I will say the Jets were in a similar situation with Joe Tippmann, as you guys are with JPJ right now. And when Tippmann moved to guard from center, he actually played a lot better. Center is just such a tough position to play. So I get it. I think if you're worried about that, it's probably the easier situation to move to guard. So, one less spot you have to draft too.
Yeah, I like Tyler Linderbaum. Obviously resets the center market, but this is the quarterback of your offensive line. This is the vocal point that you have on an offensive line, and this is a guy who will help a young quarterback in Fernando Mendoza, presumably, be able to ease into this position. This guy is going to help Ashton Genty. He's a phenomenal run blocker. Really stoked to have kind of that enforcer on your offensive line, and Tyler Linderbaum is exactly that at the center position. Next up, running back move, Travis Etienne to New Orleans for 4 for 52. I also saw 4 for 48. I don't really know. It's in that range, though.
If the Saints didn't think that they could get Jeremiah Love, this is going to end up being a pretty helpful move, I think, for everybody. Shuck, of course, being a second-year quarterback mostly. And I think an underrated part of ETN's game that kind of got taken away from him last year is how great of a receiver he is. I think that should work very well with Kellen Moore. That's why I picked it in my predictions.
Yeah, I didn't expect New Orleans to go this way because I thought they'd be a team to take Jeremiah Love at their pick, but maybe they fell in love with somebody else. And that's why they said, hey, let's go ahead and sign a running back and a good running back that in Travis Etienne, because there is somebody that they want to take that's not Jeremiah Love, that is a difference maker at pick 8 or pick 9, wherever they're at. Etienne, obviously, his proven track record has been healthy now for a couple of seasons as well, too. Should help Tyler Shuck or however they want to play the quarterback position. Just as a safety valve as well, too, in the pass game. I like it for New Orleans. Feels like maybe a bit of an overpay, but maybe I don't think it's too bad. Next up, Wando Robinson to the Tennessee Titans for 4 years, $78 million.
Yeah, that's a ton of money, but at least it's less than Alec Pierce. And at 5'8", I don't think he is going to be an elite number one receiver in today's NFL. But I'm sure those guys, Cam Ward specifically, they're going to take whatever they can get. And what they do add is another great receiver and another situation. Maybe they don't need to draft a guy in the first round. They can take who their guy is. Maybe it's on defense, since it is Robert Saleh's team now. The money doesn't feel as bad in that situation if they are able to find like a third round decent receiver too.
Yeah, Wandale, I had him going to Denver. Tennessee is where I had Romeo Doubs going, so I did have a receiver going there. This is a good, third down target for Cam Ward, and one of the best in the NFL when it comes to that. And for an offensive line that kind of had Cam Ward killed last year, this is a guy that keeps you alive, keeps possessions moving, especially when the run game's kind of in some uncertainty spots. I think this is a great signing. Now, maybe more money than what we thought he would have gotten a year ago, but I think it's worthy now considering the season that he just had. Another New Orleans signing, David Edwards, the guard, 4 for 61.
Yeah, another pretty big contract for a guard, but Kellen Moore clearly has control of the offense here. Edwards has been really consistent, something that the Saints haven't really had on their O-line since Jari Evans. So they're trying to win now, and they're going all in on the offense, and I'm okay with it. And you combine this with ETN, maybe only one of them would be a little confusing. You still leave a lot of holes on the offense, but I see the plan now for New Orleans. They're going all in on offense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Good physical guard who's played on some good teams. Makes sense. Veteran presence as well, too. I like it. Not reading too deep into that. Here's another Raider move. We'll talk more about Max Crosby once we get down to the defensive moves, but Jalen Naylor to the Raiders, 3 for 35.
Jalen Naylor might be one of the sneakiest moves of the week, and we just haven't seen a ton of them yet. Interesting thing I saw when I looked at his page, he's only returned one kick in his entire career, but I would hope that the Raiders do give him a shot there because there are definitely some similarities to Rashid Shaheed, at least as a number two receiver.
Yeah, Jalen Nailor's never had a crazy season in his NFL career, but this is obviously a guy that they saw the numbers somewhere and saw that he has the big playability and the ability to be a number two in the NFL. And I think that's what the goal is. If this is your number one, you're probably fucked. But I don't think that's the plan. I trust what Spytek's done to have this work. And Jalen Nailor, it feels like a bit of an overpay maybe, but maybe this is that guy that unlocks another level within your offense. Next up, Mike Evans leaves Tampa Bay after 12 years, goes to the Niners, 3 for 60.4.
Mike Evans is awesome. He's a Hall of Famer. But how much longer does he really have here, man? Like the Niners are going to love him in the red zone, but he has got to stay healthy now that Jennings and Bourne are gone too. So they absolutely need to draft somebody now too that has a little bit more speed. I just cannot imagine Mike Evans playing 3 more full seasons, even though it's understandable for Niner fans to be super hyped up for this. He's a great player, but how long is it going to last?
Yeah, I really like Mike Evans. Obviously, he's one of my favorite players of all time. This is a great red zone target. At this point of his career, I don't know how much more he is besides that, just because of the injury history this past year. I know he's had a great history in long term staying on the field, but a bad year where you have a broken collarbone and some hamstring issues can really change the rest of your career. I don't really know, like you said, if this solves the Niners wide receiver issue as well too. With Ayuk coming off, obviously no Debo. Maybe he goes back there. Who knows? But I think there will definitely have to be a second or third round wide receiver addressed in the draft. Next up, Zion Johnson goes from the Chargers to Cleveland, 3 for 49.5.
The Browns definitely overpay a little bit here for Zion Johnson, but I will note that he hasn't really ever been hurt in his career before. He reminds me a lot of Laken Tomlinson's deal to the Jets, where it's like, just don't fuck it up and we'll pay you because we know you have a floor. You're not going to be the worst alignment in the league. You have a floor. That's okay with us.
Yeah, it's interesting. Zion Johnson wasn't that good last year. I think he maybe dealt with some injuries as well too. But he goes to Cleveland, gets paid a lot of money. Good time to be a guard. I'll just say that. Next up, one of you guys, John Franklin Myers, goes from the Denver Broncos to the Tennessee Titans, 3 for 63. And how about that interior O-line or D-line for Tennessee?
Man, JFM is one of the most underrated players in the NFL. Him and Robert Saleh just know exactly what to expect on every play that's coming from the offense, and he's a great leader. Their defense is going to be really good, man. It sucks to say it because it should be in the Gotham green, but now they're in Tennessee and they're going to do it there instead.
Yeah, Rob Saleh usually gets his guys to play really good on the defensive line. And he's going to get exactly that with JFM. He's going to get exactly that with Jeffrey Simmons. Probably a couple more defensive players that we'll talk about as well too later on in the episode. But I like this move. Feels like a lot of money. I don't know. But, John Franklin Myers is a guy who has a proven track record of success and should be good for Tennessee for those 3 years. Next up, another Tennessee guy going from New Orleans, Alontae Taylor, the corner, 3 for 60.
Yeah, I kind of thought that this would reset the corner market, but this is by far the biggest signing that we've seen at this position outside of McDuffie's extension. Taylor gets 10 deflections every year. He loves to blitz. I get it. That's why Saleh gave him $60 million. That's exactly what he looks for in his corners.
Yeah, this is a playmaker of a corner. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Diamador Lenore, a guy that's similar to that Saleh system that we saw in San Francisco, of course. Alontae Taylor's a playmaker, guy who shuts down guys as well too. I liked him ever since his rookie year in New Orleans. So good deal there. I don't think it's an egregious amount of money. A lot of money on this next one. Odafe Owe to Washington, 4 for 100.
Washington going with a similar strategy to some other teams that needed so much help in the front seven that this money kind of feels like it was already squared away for a move like this. I personally am a big fan of Odafe Oweh, but this feels like more of a do or die move than a chemistry one. So sure, it could definitely flop, but I'll be rooting for him.
Yeah, this is Washington's chance to swing big in this free agency class, and they do that with Odafe Oweh. Will it pay off? I don't know, but they had a serious need and they addressed it. And that's something that you don't always get from all these teams in the NFL. So good signing by Washington, or agreed to terms by Washington. Next up, Tua to Atlanta. That's a crazy one. Double lefties in ATL.
Yeah, this was another one of the wacky ones that I predicted when we were doing quarterback predictions. So that's a positive, I guess. Tua now plays indoors. That should help. But I'm really not expecting a ton from either Tua or Penix this season. This was a team in dire need of quarterback help, and this was the kind of guy that's available right now.
Yeah. Just makes things feel easier, I guess, for Atlanta. You don't have to switch your offense when you go to the backup. And when you don't really know if your starter is that good, I assume it's probably easier to just keep things the same. You can run the exact same plays with Tua that you run with Penix. Obviously, playing in the South is going to help him as well too. So there's that. I don't know if it's terrible because I don't think they had to give him a ton of money or anything like that. So Atlanta's he's mid, of course, but I don't think it's a bad thing. All right, we got a flurry of Raider moves for the next three. We'll just keep them all three together, so maybe a 3-minute period here, especially with the context now added with Max Crosby and the trade being off. Kwity Paye 3 for 48, Nakobe Dean 3 for 36, and Quay Walker 3 for 40.5. Malcolm Kuntz also comes back on a 1-year, $11 million deal. I mean, all this stuff now has an asterisk, but what do we make of this?
Okay. Well, I'll start with Kwity Paye for now. What I had written was a big 4-3 pass rusher that should perfectly fit into Crosby's spot, at least for the first year. Now, we don't know what that means because I originally viewed it as the kind of move that delays the amount of time that you have to replace him, and you have more opportunity to draft offensive players next month. But that still applies to the linebackers, so I'll keep moving along for now. Nakobe Dean, probably the riskiest move of the Raiders so far. 2 nasty knee injuries, but he is a freak when he's on the field. Like White and Adams are gone. They needed to be upgraded anyways, so that makes sense. It makes even more sense as we go to the next guy, too, Quay Walker, 3 for 40. That's your Nakobe Dean insurance. Also from Georgia, which is funny, but definitely more of the, and my opinion, obviously, when they get onto the Raiders, they could play differently. But in my opinion, Quay Walker, more of the general than the thumper that Nakobe Dean is, should be able to guard some tight ends. And then Malcolm Kuntz, now it's even more important. Now we don't know what's going to happen with Max Crosby, of course.
Yeah. 4 signings here. Good to group them up together. Kwity Paye, I'd say the one I'd have the biggest asterisk on. If Crosby's back, then I assume his Kwity Paye deal doesn't go through. Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker, I'd assume are safe because they play a bit differently. And then Kuntz, I think, is safe as well, too, because they wanted to do that anyways, and he's pretty cheap. Kwity Paye, this is probably the one signing that I wasn't super in love with either. So if it goes that way that he is not a Raider and Max Crosby is, then so be it. Nakobe Dean, if he is healthy for these 3 years, there's a chance that he could be an All-Pro. This is one of the few NFL linebackers that can cover legitimate people. We saw him out on like a corner position a couple of times these past few years and making big plays there. Obviously, the injury history is a big question mark, but if he's healthy, he's really good. And if he's not going to be healthy, I think it's a good swing. And if you miss this early into a rebuild, it's not really going to cost you too much. Quay Walker, a little bit more level, maybe not level-headed, but he's more level as a linebacker. Better in the run game, I'd say. Still a solid player in the pass as well, which is good. If you have linebackers that can cover, that makes the world a whole lot easier. So I liked both those signings happening within like a minute of each other was pretty cool as well too. Malcolm Kuntz coming back was really good 2 years ago. Last year, coming off the torn ACL, It really wasn't all there. I think that it is usually a 2-year recovery when it comes to the ACL, full 100%. And if it is, and he plays the way that he did in the end of 2023, this is a good player. Moving on. Rashid Shaheed back to Seattle, 3 for 51.
I am on the Shaheed train, man. He was so important for that Super Bowl run last season. Just a great fit, playing right in between JSN and Cooper Kupp. As long as they end up with enough money to extend JSN, they're going to be okay, at least in the passing game. Still don't know about starting running back yet.
Yeah, curious about the running back position. Maybe they put Shaheed back there. Who knows?
Maybe.
But this is a guy who's a difference maker. We saw it throughout the playoffs. We saw it when he was in New Orleans. This guy will win you football games. The pay feels kind of steep for a guy that's not really, a number one or a number two in the NFL. But his big playability makes things happen. And that's the type of receiver that's going up. That's why Alec Pierce got paid, and that's Rashid Shaheed's walking away with 50 mil. Or he won't walk away with 50 mil, but he's getting quote unquote paid 50 mil. Reed Blankenship, not Reed Shepard.
Dude, I typed in Reed Shepard on Football Reference today. I'm such a moron.
I think the Houston that I have here kind of makes that happen. 3 for 24.5 or 7.5. So one of the lower deals, probably the lowest deal that we'll talk about. But to Houston.
I'm not the biggest fan of Reed Blankenship, but 25 million isn't that much money. I'd be upset if the Jets signed him for this contract, but I think D'Amico Ryans knows what he's doing. He knows that the league kind of requires 3 safeties at a certain time. And this is going to be your third guy, probably.
Yeah, Reed Blankenship is a guy that you trust when you don't have to do too much as a safety. Maybe not when your defense is bad and you're looking at this guy to be the quarterback of your defense, but that's not what he's going to have to do in Houston. Kind of just like what he was doing in Philly 2 years ago. I think it's a solid mid-level signing. Next up, Isaac Sumalau to Arizona, 3 for 31.5.
One less need on the O-line. He's a solid veteran, probably the right decision for Arizona to end up offering the most money. Offering the most money to this position when you have a brand new offensive system coming in. He should be able to help. Solid veteran.
Yeah, curious where they go on the quarterback route, but getting some guards will help you. There's a bit of injury history there, but if he stays healthy, this is a guy that will make that worth the 31.5. Good signing by Arizona. Next up, a bit of a late night signing was Devin Lloyd to Carolina, 3 for 45.
Carolina continues to go big on defense, and this is actually a pretty good deal for a guy who's a former first-round pick, just made the All-Pro second team. The Panthers' defense is trending upwards right now, 100%. You can't say that about the rest of the South.
Yeah, I like Devin Lloyd. He had a great year for Jacksonville last year. And with him and Jalen Phillips, those are 2 playmakers, difference makers on the defensive end that you have that can win you football games. And that's not really something you could say about all defensive players. I think they got a good deal for him. Linebackers don't get paid a ton in the NFL, with their value kind of going in that running back area, just like safeties these past few years. But Devin Lloyd's really good. I think he's been good in Carolina. And if he gets a couple picks late in games, that's going to win you enough to get the division. So good job by Carolina. Next up, this one was a real late signing or a real late night signing. Elijah Vera Tucker to New England, 3 for 42 with a frowny face right next to it.
Oh, man. When healthy, AVT can play any position on the offensive line very well. So there's not a lot of guys like him that hit the open market. It really is just all about his health, though. New England lost some of the depth on their O-line this offseason. They really, really need Will Campbell and AVT to be playing in every game next to each other if they want this to work. At the end of the day, I'm very upset that I have to face him because I do know one thing. When he's on the field, he's a menace in the run game.
Yeah, AVT is really good. I think the deal for it is pretty solid as well, too. Like you said, the versatility is something you pay for as well with Elijah Vera Tucker. This is a guy that can play tackle if he needs to. He can play center if he needs to. That's really one of the big points from him coming out of the draft as well, too, is that he was kind of positionless when it came to an offensive line spot. New England, might need him to rotate a little bit, but I assume with the money that they're paying him they're locking him down at guard. Probably having him on that left side next to Will Campbell as well too to give him that extra help. And I think it's probably worth it considering the year that Will Campbell had last year. Next up, the return of Geno to the Jets, a 6-7 swap here. What do you got, man?
Geno and Demario Davis back on the Jets, man. I feel like we're about to go watch them at the Coliseum next week again. It's always difficult to analyze quarterback moves from a team like the Jets. You know, we always say, well, it can't get any worse, and then it does. But I do think Geno Smith comes with a little bit more of a floor than Justin Fields did. I don't think we're going to see Geno Smith, a healthy Geno Smith, finish a game with 24 yards. I don't think that's in his DNA at all. And I know he was really bad last season, but at least we know he's going to throw the football. So two of our best pound-for-pound quarterback games of the last 20 years have been 40-year-old Joe Flacco and Mike White. So everyone's been texting me, oh, dude, you must be so upset. I can't complain, dude. We brought in a gunslinger. Even if we are headed for a 4-win season, it should be way more entertaining. We're not going to lose 40-10 every time, you would think. So that's where my head's at. I'm not, saying that he's going to turn things around. I'm not saying he's going to last more than a season, but I'm saying he's capable for throwing for a lot of yards.
Yeah, Geno's interesting. Good money deal for the Jets, and they can get rid of him after a year as well too. Probably more of a Band-Aid type situation to get to 2027 in that draft class there with the current QB situation outside of Mendoza. In the draft, that is. Geno, I don't know if he's a guy that I would want for the Jets because this is a defense-focused team, and this is a quarterback who likes to throw a lot of interceptions. I would have liked to have a guy that's a bit more consistent, doesn't really take the risks that Geno does because as a defensive-minded head coach, you want the quarterback that's not putting balls in harm's way as often. You want to be able to trust your defense to go win games, and you can't really trust your defense to go win games when the other team starts with the ball at your 25-yard line. And Geno will do that to you a couple of times a game, it feels like. So, I don't hate it. It's a super buy low for a guy that can turn out to be something, as we've seen with Seattle. Like, he could be something. I just, after watching it for 15 games or however many games last year, I don't know how much I can trust it.
Rumor is Carson Wentz is coming tomorrow, too, to be the backup. So, great.
Oh. Wow. Next up, Romeo Doubs, 4 for 68 to 80. I saw a whole bunch of conflicting reports here, but he goes to New England, a new red zone target for Drake May.
New England had a major need at wide receiver, but this is a lot of money, man. I get it. He's been great in the playoffs and, overall pretty reliable guy. That's why he had such a big market. I just don't think this is exactly what Drake May was expecting. Maybe this is the Patriots hater inside of me, but I have a feeling that this guy isn't going to play there for 4 years.
Yeah, I like Romeo Doubs. I think this is a situation that we can either see him become one of the best receivers of the league, considering that he never had to have that big of a role in Green Bay, or he just kind of is who he was the past 4 years in Green Bay. I like the possible upside with him. Obviously, there is a need for wide receiver in New England as well, too. This free agency market was not great, so you knew that you were going to have to overpay one, especially now with getting rid of Diggs. I don't know if I'd give it an A+, but I don't think I'd give it a D either. So somewhere like in the B range or something like that. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. Nashawn Wright to the Jets, 1 for 5 is what I saw here.
Yeah, kind of a journeyman, but still under 30 years old. They needed a temporary replacement for Sauce Gardner, and there are going to be risks, of course. Like, he played like a ball hawk last season with 5 picks, which sometimes led to some deep balls being open. But for only $5 million, I will gladly welcome the Laney College legend over to the Jets defense.
Yeah, I like Nashawn Wright. He was a big-time playmaker for the Bears last year. One of the main reasons why that Bears defense was not terrible. Obviously, he allowed some big plays, but he was a guy that will make big plays for you as well, too, get the ball back for your team. And I feel like that's more the way that the NFL is gearing now. It doesn't matter how many yards you give up, but if you can force a turnover, that's what matters. So I'm kind of shocked he didn't get more than what he got. 1 for 5 on a defense that's probably going to be going at it a lot next year. I like it. This is an A plus signing for me for the money. I just wish you could have got him for more years with that type of money.
Mm.
Next up, Braden Smith to Houston, 2 for 25.
Solid O lineman, going to a very bad O line, division rival. Why not? Why not? I'm sure he's got some secrets about Indianapolis he'd love to share.
Yeah, Houston had to address the line. Braden Smith is a good tackle. You get him for relatively cheap as well too when it comes to the tackle market. So good job from Houston. Next up, Elgin Jenkins to the Cleveland Browns, 2 for 24.
Yeah, Cleveland gives himself a lot more flexibility in the draft too now. They can just like if they really wanted to, just rip off skill players with all their picks because they have. They brought in two more O linemen, filled in the small gaps. Like, JOK is probably not coming back. That's why they got my boy Quincy Williams over there. So now they could just focus on skill players.
Yeah. If you were to give me Jenkins and Johnson, the two guards that the Cleveland Browns signing, or interior linemen that the Browns signed, and you just gave me the numbers, I would have had them flipped around. This is a good signing for Cleveland. Doesn't really fit the timeline. I'm kind of surprised Jenkins would go there, considering Cleveland's probably going to be bad for a couple more years. But good signing by the Browns. Way to lure him in. I would have gone to like the Rams or something like that if I was Jenkins. Last one that we have, Tariq Woolen, doesn't go by Tariq anymore, I guess. To Philly, 1 for 15. It's a small deal. Really the only non-Jet Raider 1 year deal that we have on here. But this one still kind of raises some eyebrows.
I think it's an A plus. I understand the concern level, but this is Philadelphia we're talking about. They have so much depth, and maybe corner is a position that they do still need to draft, but that's why you have a 1 year deal. It's like you got to earn it, dude. Like last year, you didn't finish very strong, so we're not going to give you any guarantees. But hey, this could be a situation too where if he balls out the first half of the season, he does get a 3 year extension. I don't know if it's similar to NBA or not. Like NBA, you can extend someone unless they're on a 4 year deal, but I'm sure they could figure it out a way to bring him back if he deserves it. So that's why I have an A plus.
Yeah, this either goes one of two ways for me. I think Rick Woolen turns into a guy that's either like a veteran minimum kind of journeyman corner for the next 5 years, that always keeps on getting opportunities because of the athleticism, or he just blossoms with Philly and we're looking at like a 5 year, $100 million contract next offseason because we know the talent is there with him. He showed it in Seattle. There's just some other things going on with him at sometimes. I don't know if that'll go away in Philly, but I think he'll be asked to do less as a whole over there. That defense usually is very cohesive no matter the personalities that they have in there. So I think it works out. I like the gamble from Philly. They haven't really done anything in free agency besides losing guys so far. So this is a guy that I am, good with taking the gamble on. So good for them. Nothing in our second half because this was supposed to be WBC stuff. I guess we could talk about Crosby more, but we don't really have much besides that they backed out because of a medical concern that arose from the physical, which could be interesting because, they knew that he went through the surgery. It's not like the surgery was something that wasn't reported. This has been well documented for months now at this point. A lot of people are like, the Cap's screwed now. They're going to have to release everybody. I don't really think it works like that. A lot of reports still had the Raiders at like $70 million in cap space.
Mm-hmm.
Take away Kwity Paye, that moves it to 85. Bring Crosby back in, that should be around 55 to 45, I'd imagine. And I don't think there's enough free agents out there that they would have gone over that cap regardless. Obviously, all these moves are not set in stone. So, I saw a tweet from Ari Mirov saying, do the Cowboys back out of the Rashawn Gary move now, trying to go get Max Crosby? Because they were the team that seems like was second in this. They were just very much not wanting to give up that second first-round pick. But
it's because we have it.
I don't know. This is so weird with how it goes. So, we'll see. he could get traded again tonight. It could be that he plays another 5 years on the Raiders. Who knows? I don't know what to think. I don't think the Raiders would trade him if it was, hey, yeah, we're going to give you a third round pick for Max Crosby.
Yeah.
Like I just don't think they would trade him when it comes down to that. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I was okay with the trade. Obviously, we gave our analysis on it before the pullback happened, so we got to delete the files for that little part there. But I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
This
that's
is
messed
something
up, man.
you think about, but yeah, I don't. Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore has nobody now.
You would think too, if Baltimore's got a problem with this, how many other teams do too?
I don't know. I think there's definitely a scenario. I'd say it plays out one or two ways. I think he gets traded again tonight or tomorrow, or he doesn't get traded at all. So I don't think Spy Tech is going to be, hey, we did right by you to get you out, but we're not going to move you for a third round pick or a fifth round pick or something stupid like that. So I will definitely be checking my phone each time I get a next notification for the next couple of days, as I already have been with free agency. But onward to the bets. Last week was not good to us. We had a whole lot of red. I had Chinese Taipei, or Taiwan actually, over Australia on Wednesday. That did not happen. An upset for Australia there. You had Duke minus 5.5 versus UNC.
So here's what happened. It was around a -6 line. And then the day before the game, UNC's two best players were announced that they were out for the year. So the line shot up to 18. So I don't know how moral it would be to give me a green, but technically it was around 6 points when I said it on Tuesday.
I would give it a green just for that. This week, it's not bold or anything. Obviously, this is the layup. I have the US and DR having a semifinal matchup occurring. These two teams look like they're on a crash course. And I think they both get there. I think the matchups play out that way as well too. DR wins their pool, US wins their pool, and then they both win their quarterfinal games. So I'd say it happens. There's no correct odds on that right now because it requires a lot of things to happen. But if it were to be evened out, it would probably be around, midway.
Yeah. And I agree with you. And that's why I went with a very similar strategy in mind. I went one step further. It's a matchup everybody wants to see, except for the DR fans. USA will go 6-0. Same with Japan. They will meet up in the championship, and we will get our rematch. They're both very heavy favorites to move on. So, I didn't give myself too crazy of an odd here, but great pitching. Maybe not the two best lineups, but overall rosters, this is the matchup we want to see.
Last week, bold predictions. I tried to not be as bold. I had Scotty Scheffler to win the Arnold Palmer Invitational. That did not happen. He did not have a great day or a great weekend. So that goes red. Together had Portland over Houston on Friday, around plus 250.
You know what they did the night before? They lost to the Warriors. I was one day off.
Oh, yeah.
One day off.
That's tough. This week, I have Italy qualifying over Mexico in the World Baseball Classic. If you look on sportsbooks right now, this is around plus 200 to 300. Here's what I think happens. Obviously, this might be tough to get now if you're listening to this because the Italy-USA game will be going on or had it ended at that point. But I think the U.S. kind of lightens the mode on Italy, but considering they pretty much already won the pool with the run differential that they have. Italy, maybe takes us time. Hey, if we win this game, the game against Mexico doesn't matter. We're good. Like we already got in at that point. I would imagine that's how that plays out. But regardless, if they beat Mexico, they get in. I like Italy. I like the way that they match up with Mexico and the lack of lefties that Mexico has that is effective with Italy's overly lefty lineup. So give me Italy to qual over Mexico.
Okay. So if you do not follow college basketball, you may be very confused by my pick here. But I have Miami of Ohio winning the MAC at plus 190. Here's the scenario. Miami of Ohio, 31-0, undefeated, 20th ranked team in the nation. Yet they have the third best odds to win the MAC. This line is, it just seems wrong to me. I feel like the whole group of college basketball media members are rooting for this undefeated Cinderella story to not make the tournament. And I think that's bullshit. Just because they went to overtime against Toledo once doesn't mean they're losing, man. Give me Miami of Ohio, finish the season perfect, and make it to the dance.
Yeah, it is interesting. I saw a lot of narratives on that as well too, of people not wanting them to get in
Yeah.
and just different things around it. It's like there's 68 teams in the tournament.
Come on.
You don't need 18 Big Ten teams or Big East teams, whatever. Like, throw the secondary Miami in there. Come on.
Come on. Even if they're a 12 seed, come on.
Yeah. Well, that's gonna do it. Next week, 285. March Madness preview. It'll be cool. Not gonna have some great expert analysis on there because I maybe watched like 5 college games throughout the season, but I'll be picking my favorite colors, my favorite animals to make my bracket. But that's going to do it. Any closing remarks?
Well, this is a very special episode because usually the biggest news of the week happens right after we stop recording. And we got it live.
Yeah, that's true. Unless Crosby now gets traded for 3 first-round picks. But I don't think that happens. Who knows? That's all I got, man. There's not much to say.
I'm sure it's tough to be live on a show as a Raider fan on today. That's for sure.
Yeah. I just don't know what to think. I don't know if I'm sad or I'm happy or indifferent or whatever, but
shocked.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Anyways, we'll see you guys next week. Couple fun episodes lined up, March Madness, and then the MLB in-depth MLB season preview in 2 weeks.
1 week closer to opening day. We'll see you next week.
Peace.